Joining us now for more on what Wyoming plans to do to defend Tanner Mangum is the Cowboys color analyst Kevin Mckinney on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. Kevin, welcome to BYU Sports Nation.
Thank you very much, Spencer. Happy to be on with you guys.
Take us to the day, the moment when Wyoming fans and people in Laramie found out that we're traveling to San Diego in December.
Yeah, that's not a bad deal, is it? We, and I think everybody had a hope, at least, that if the Cowboys weren't able to win the conference championship game with San Diego State, that they would go to San Diego. That was kind of not locked in stone by any means, but thought that would be where they might land, and that it would be BYU. And people are very excited about that. I think Wyoming fans miss playing BYU in Utah. That was a great series from both schools for so many years that they do miss that. So I think everybody was very excited that get a chance to renew a great rivalry.
As you just mentioned, I mean, there have been a lot of really good battles over the years between these two teams. How much of a rival is BYU for Wyoming?
Well, I think it's a good one. If you look at the scores lately, it's not, but it has been. I think Wyoming people really enjoy the series against both of those schools, but especially BYU, and especially the people on the western side of Wyoming. That to them is the border war. Of course, down in our neck of the woods, down in the southeast part. And probably for a lot of the state, Colorado State is the old rival. It is the oldest rival. But BYU and Utah have been great rivals for years and years, and it means a lot, especially to those people who border Utah at the western end of the state.
Wyoming 8-5 with some notable wins, including an upset over then-ranked Boise State, beat San Diego State as well. Going into this game, I mean, you could make an argument that this has been the best regular season for Wyoming in 2 decades. How would you define Wyoming's season in 2016?
Well, magical. It has to be a description like that because the Cowboys won 2 games last year.
Yeah.
Started the season with a brand-new quarterback who had started 1 game and played 2 series in that game before he hurt his shoulder. So you're going, well, hopefully – the team will show an upward trajectory through the year and maybe win 4 or 5 games. But nobody could have predicted how good Allen was. He just had a sensational year. And, I think probably more than just anybody else raised the level of play of the rest of his teammates just by the way he came through in one tough situation after another. Of course, the Cowboys came into the year with Brian Hill, the outstanding running back, and its all-time leading running back. So you had that, but they had Brian last year and only won 2 games. So the difference was Josh. I just feel like he raised the level of play of everybody. The defense actually played better than expected. It was really bad a year ago, and so that they came through there. Some young guys played better than everybody expected on defense, and it all just came together. And really, they got going against in the opening game, won a triple overtime game, and that magic just seemed to carry on through a good part of the year. The Cowboys had a couple of rough spots, no doubt, but in the main, it was one piece of magic after another.
Well, with a magical regular season already in the books, how much weight do you believe a win in the bowl game will hold for the overall success of the season?
Well, it does. I mean, there's no doubt when you win the bowl game, that's a great way to end your year and kind of a nice topping on a great season. Cowboys very, very disappointed they didn't win that championship game. That was the main goal. Okay, that didn't happen. So now you have one more game. You have one event left that you can utilize as a capper, and it's against an old rival. So it still means a great deal, and to win that game would make this season you're right. I mean, one of the better ones in 20 years.
Joining us now on the Deseret First Credit Union hotline is Kevin Mckinney, color analyst for Wyoming football. How much does this game matter to the entire state of Wyoming and the Cowboys program moving forward?
Well, I think that it means a lot. If you can win a bowl game when you've been in the shape that the Cowboys have been in over the last few years, it's a huge thing. And then to have it against an old rival, that makes it even better. But to win a bowl game is a great way to end your year. It's great for the younger players in the program. It's obviously great for the seniors. Great way for them to go out. So the state of Wyoming is very excited about this team. Of course, when Wyoming does well, it's a statewide deal because there's just one school. But I think that the fan base has really identified with this team and gotten really excited about it. And to win your last game in a bowl game, it would just top it off.
One of the biggest aspects to this bowl game that has me most excited is just the fact that it features two of the nation's best running backs. And for those who haven't seen Wyoming running back Brian Hill, how would you explain his skill set?
Well, Brian is one of those guys that has really all the gifts that you need. He's a big, powerful running back. He has a huge heart, really wants to be successful, and has outstanding speed. He can bounce it outside, and when he does, he's really hard to catch. So he has the ability to run through that A gap and cause some trouble, but he can get to the outside and go long on you as easily. So he's very, very physical, very driven guy, and has just been a sensational player for Wyoming.
Is it the NFL next for Brian Hill after a season like this? He's just a junior.
He's just a junior, and of course everybody's talking about that. That's a big topic of conversation in Wyoming because obviously it happens all the time. And he has said he'll wait till after the bowl game to sit down with he and his mother and the head coach, Craig Bowl, and they'll discuss it. So nothing has been determined as yet, certainly publicly. He may have in his own mind, but he has said on a number of occasions that he'll wait till after the final game, and then he'll talk with the head coach. So we'll all be awaiting that for sure.
Understandably, the Wyoming offense has received a lot of respect because of the big numbers that have been put up through the air and on the ground with the likes of Brian Hill. But you mentioned something interesting earlier in this interview, that the Wyoming defense has been much better than they were compared to last year. And I know you look at the win-loss column and you see 8 wins this year and 2 last year, and you think, well, yeah, that makes sense. But this Wyoming defense has taken some lashings as well. So just how much better are they compared to last year defensively?
Well, they've been able to make more big plays and been able to get off the field a little quicker than they did last year. To this point right now, they're missing 2 of their leading players, defensive end Granderson and linebacker DJ May. They were 2 huge playmakers for the Cowboys. Granderson went down a little earlier in the year with a knee surgery. The Cowboys lost DJ May 2 games ago, and he was arguably their best big play linebacker. So they're missing a couple of parts that made them much more effective. But they've been able to get some stops when last year there weren't many stops at all. They just got steamrolled, and you're right. They have had some really tough games. The New Mexico game is the one that pops out immediately. UNLV game was another. They've seemed to have risen to the occasion against the bigger opponents, however, and so that's a positive. But they had a couple of stinkers against Vegas and New Mexico.
Wyoming color analyst Kevin Mckinney with us on BYU Sports Nation, and we would be remiss to not ask about the head coach.
Yeah, we always hear coaches when they come into a program talking about changing the culture. What has Coach Bowl done to do that with Wyoming?
Well, number one, he's a great fit, which we all overuse that term, but he's got a real Wyoming mentality. He's hard-nosed, old school, traditional. Wyoming's got 2 uniforms. That's all they wear. They wear a home and a road, and they're always the same. No different helmets or any of that stuff. So he's very much a traditionalist. He really likes football to be played the way it used to be played, and that would be hard-nosed and really physical. So he brought that to the team, but I think that he just made them believe that they could win games, and not very many guys can do that. But he said, if you guys stay with me, we'll win some games. And certainly last year was very difficult in that regard. But I think that when the Cowboys game against Northern Illinois and won it in the fashion they won it, that was kind of a first step towards believing. But when they beat Colorado State, the arch rival, down at Fort Collins after being nothing, I think that really cemented him as a guy they could trust and believe in. And it's just gotten better. And it's kind of been his MO wherever he's been. He wants to do it the right way. Wyoming doesn't have a lot of JC guys. There wasn't immediate help. It was recruiting those high school guys and letting them learn and under fire, really. And so they all believe in him. The state believes in him, and it was a very big thing for him to renew that contract with the size of buyout it has. I think that kind of really endeared him to everybody. As we all know, Wyoming has had years where guys came and went, and as far as the head coaching position was concerned. And so now that Craig has signed this contract and agreed to a contract that had a very large buyout, I think people around Wyoming really believe he's going to be here for a while, and that's a good thing.
BYU listed as a 7.5-point favorite going into this Poinsettia Bowl game. How do you see the Cowboys and Cougars playing out when the actual game begins?
Well, it'll be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it because I think there are a lot of similar characteristics with the two teams, the way they like to go about their business. And Craig has said that like to run the football and be physical with that. That's what the Cowboys like to do. I think BYU is a larger team, which is usually the case when the Cowboys have played BYU in the past. But I think that the coaching staff's very impressed with their linebacking core, with the way the depth they have in their defensive front, and how physical they play. I think that's what is probably going to be the interesting hook on this game is who can be more physical because and not turn the ball over, but who can be more physical because I think both teams will be very physical, and that'll make for a great matchup.
Kevin, great to talk to you. We wish you safe travels to San Diego, and we'll talk to you soon.
Same to you guys. Appreciate being on.